You know, they tell us about this allegorically. Hollywood puts a lot of this content allegorically out in modern films. Steven Spielberg, who made THX 1138, his first film, you know, this is somebody that was largely given this script to talk about. You know, this was put up by like a production company that he had other writers working within, and they came up with this, and he ran with it, made it his first film. Okay? So, you know, this one is about the order followers destroying their sense of self. And they're going about their, you know, oppressive job totally calmly. Like, no, it's perfectly normal. You know, and even the people, they're put on drugs. They're put on pharmaceutical drugs. Those are the demon drugs, the SSRIs, the antidepressants, the SNRIs, all of that. And they're told, you can actually be jailed for or fined for not taking your medication. You know, this is drug crime for not taking the drugs. Equilibrium, one of my favorite movies of all time. I consider it probably the most esoteric, Masonic film ever made, if you really understand the symbolism going on in this film. This is about a society that has eradicated emotion, a totalitarian society run by Father, who's supposed to be the representative of God on the earth as government, you know, basically has taken over society, and they give people a drug called Prosium, right? Almost identical to Prozac, and that keeps them numbed out. Well, some people stop taking it, they start feeling again. The main character is Christian Bale, right? Now this is, I think, a synchromysticism example, because Christian and Bale, you have the Christ and you have the devil, right? Christ and Bale, right? But they're in the one character. They're in the main actor of the film, right? And what he has to do is find his righteous anger. And he eventually finds it when he realizes they're destroying everything that's good and pure and wholesome and beautiful in the world. And they destroy art, and they destroy animals. And finally, when he develops an emotional attachment to a dog, and the state wants to kill that dog, that's when he finally starts taking action, because he can't take it anymore. And, you know, the whole crux of the film is him developing the anger to eventually say no, the lost word. When he flatlines, his emotions flatline, because that's the psychopath coming out and him doing what he has to do physically at that point. And that's when he goes into battle with Father, and they do this kung fu thing called gun kata, and they are fighting with guns, and eventually he disarms the totalitarian regime's leader, and he's standing there saying, could you take my life? You've disarmed me, and you want to take me out of the world? He goes, I live, I breathe. Will you pay the price for killing me unarmed? And the main character says, I'll pay it gladly, and pulls the trigger. One of the greatest films ever made, as far as I'm concerned, because it really teaches you, it's expressing the right of what one has to do when they are held under physical duress as slaves. The right. Not saying go out and do that, but saying, let's start by understanding that the right exists. I talk about in my work that I delve into the Western mystery traditions, and Thelema is one of the traditions that I study very deeply. And one of the principles in that occult tradition is human beings have the right to kill those who would thwart their rights. This is part of the self-defense principle, the sacred masculine that must be wed to the sacred feminine principle of non-aggression. First and foremost, do not initiate harm. But when harm is initiated unto you, you always maintain the right to defend yourself with physical force, up to and including deadly force. Highly controversial. You'll hear very few people talk about this, even within this movement, other than myself and occasionally Larkin Rose. But all too few have the balls to say anything like that. And then another one that I just recently saw, similar to the name, because this is about, you know, leveling people out, making them all the same, right? So that they can be brought into compliance. There's no individuality or uniqueness. Equals. Another society that has totally purged emotion. Also check out, here's another one of those names close to, the demon drug names, Zardoz. Okay, check out the movie Zardoz, because there's a group of beings in that called the apathetics that have lost their ability to feel emotion. We should aspire to a high dynamic emotional range and a high dynamic emotional makeup and speak with passion from the heart. Too few people do it.